Hello. Welcome everyone.
Hello.
We are live. Welcome to the Dovecote episode 11 with Cavegirl. It is January 15th, 7 o'clock p.m. EST. Um Emily Cavegirl, Emily Cavegirl, Emily uh
Yep.
comma apostrophe Cavegirl. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Cavegirl. I design stuff. Um, Mostly I self-publish stuff. I've worked with some people in the past. I make games. It's pretty simple. Um, and yeah, like Eclipse was all come on to the channel and have a chat, and we can complain about the news and vent our opinions at the world. So
Yeah.
I did that.
We're a little light on news today, but that's okay. We have a lot of emails and a lot. I feel like you and I can shoot the shit quite a bit. But
Yeah.
yeah, thank you for coming on. I'm really excited to have you. Uh I guess I should first apologize for accidentally naming my game Warehouse Bitches when I wasn't aware that that Dungeon Bitches was a thing. Uh,
Well, it's brand integration.
it is. It's brand integration. But yeah, you are I think probably best known for both blogs on games in general, and then I think specifically Dungeon Bitches. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, I think so.
Hell yeah.
Um, Like I've put some OSR stuff out, which also seems to have had some traction, but Dungeon Bitches is like I don't know, like the big one, I think.
Yeah, let me get folks a link to your give folks a link to your blog and also a link to
Yeah,
Dungeon Bitches.
sweet.
Or I'll give the Cave Girl Dungeon Bitches itch page.
Yeah.
That'll work. Cool. Do you have a personal itch page? I actually didn't double check that.
I don't. I don't.
Okay, cool. Um, yeah. I've I hate to admit I've actually yet to read Dungeon Bitches. I was thinking about maybe trying to buy it before this, but I didn't get a chance. However, like I everything that I've seen of it is fucking awesome. It's really good. People should buy it. Um, in my place, I
I
think.
am very proud of it. Like,
Yeah. Um, I guess like if you're comfortable talking a bit about it, like what were some of the inspirations behind Dungeon Bitches? What are things that you think folks should know about it?
so the initial inspiration.
Oh, do I still have you? Oh no, I think I lost you. Hello? Oh no, I believe I've lost Emily. Um, ba ba ba. Oh no, problems are happening. Um, we have technical difficulties. It seems. Hang on, let me try disconnecting and recalling. Hello? Hello? Oh no. We have a we we have a oh no. Oh yeah, all the birds are out. Hello. Are you back?
Testing, testing, testing. Can you
There
hear
you
me?
go. Okay, here you are. Um
I am so sorry about that. Discord just decided to die for no reason.
this will
Um,
happen.
I
I've
could hear everything you were saying, and just nothing I was saying was going through.
damn. I've brought out the actual bird for this. Maybe that'll fix the problem. And
Yeah.
intro or the interview bird is here. But yeah, tell me about the inspiration for Dungeon Bitches.
So, like, a lot of it is just kind of putting together little ideas that I'd had knocking around already.
Mhm.
Like, the Wounded Daughter and the Corpse Doll that made it in as playbooks in the game had been classes that were on my blog, and there was a lot of ideas around, like, the idea that adventurers would be coming from these marginalized groups, and that they would be, people that kind of can't make it in mainstream society, got thrown in there as well. Um, and like, I know it looks very thematically coherent. In a lot of ways, it's just stuff that I like smushed together. Um, and then like my collaborators really helped tie a lot of stuff together. Like there was about a year when me and Sarah and Khan pretty much just constantly played the game and really drilled down on what made it work, and that kind of worked,
Yeah,
Um, but it's a lot of little things thrown together.
it's very cool. The whole style of it is just like really really impressive.
Oh, the visual design is fucking gorgeous. Like Sarah absolutely knocked it out of the park. She is super fucking talented, and like everyone listening to this should go and commission art from her.
Does Sarah have
Um,
a place where people can do that?
she has a Twitter. I can pull the Twitter up. Give me a
That would be
moment.
fantastic. I'd love to share that with folks. Um, yeah, I'm gonna have
Like,
to.
if you,
Yeah, sorry.
oh, you good. Should I just post it in the chat?
Yeah, go ahead. It might.
Cool.
mm, It worked. Good. Okay. Okay.
Good.
Well,
Good. It worked.
sometimes my bots are my bots are capricious
Zealous.
entities that will will attack
Yeah, yeah.
anything they don't recognize, but they're being kind today. Um, yeah, I really I need to read this game. I need to actually get around to reading it, but it seems really really cool.
It's like it's one of those games that I would say get together a group of people you're already like quite on the same wavelength with before you do anything.
Yeah,
Um, like make sure that you all kind of know how to keep each other happy and that stuff.
yeah. That
Uh,
that's a
because it can get rough, you know.
yeah. Um, that's the thing that I've been like thinking a lot about, and I think I've talked a lot about with folks on here is like the idea that that like safety as like a mechanism for like expanding like the
Mm,
possibilities of play rather than like contracting them. Um,
mm,
not necessarily that it like has to be expanding, but like that it can, right? Um,
yeah.
is I guess like how much of that have you like explored in your own work, or like how do you feel about that subject?
So this is the thing which I find really fucking funny is you look at all these guys who are like, and it's always guys, let's be fair, who
Mhm.
are being all, oh, you can't do anything these days. You have to get consent to fucking kill PCs or put zombies in the game. And I'm just looking at them, and it's like, bitch, do you know the kind of stuff that I play in my own games? Do you know the like brutal meat grinder dungeons that I run? Do you know the bleak and nasty shit I get up to in Vampire the Masquerade? Like you're playing vanilla Dungeons and Dragons with like an elf and a hobbit and a tiefling if you feel edgy.
And maybe there's
Like,
slavery in it.
yeah, like of course they put all the standard edgy shit in,
Hmm.
and they don't do anything with it, and it doesn't mean anything. But like they're not playing horror games at all, and it's so fucking. It betrays a fundamental incuriosity about the possibilities of the medium, you know?
Yeah. Um, I think actually, honestly, like probably one of the first, probably one of the first bits of like, hey, you can do sex and RPG things that I read was your blog on like sex and sexuality in RPGs. It's like
I'm very proud of that one. It's very provocatively worded.
it's really fucking good. Um, let me actually I want to send that in chat.
Cool.
Let me grab that. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
oh god, you have a TV Trips page? Sorry, I'm just
I
like
what?
apparently you have a TV Trips page. That's so funny.
Okay,
Um,
I'm just gonna. Uh,
where's my
Apparently, I do. It's.
Tumblr?
Did you know I'm queer?
Damn, that's fucked up.
Yeah, I'm just like it. It brings me back to. Did you see the discussion about bleed in RPGs a few weeks back
Yeah, I did.
when Vampire the Masquerade had their thing? And it's so frustrating the very basic level that people are having these conversations on. You know, it's like they've been told, oh, bleed is a thing that can make you sad, and they can't look beyond that very surface level. Um, what's the way to phrase it? Like, you know how you start out by teaching kids Newtonian mechanics when they're 14, and
Yeah,
then after a while explain to them that, like, relativity and shit exists?
right.
Like, it's the very basic Newtonian take of like, it's not actually true, but it's the easy lie version that we're going to teach you whilst you're still stupid, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and it's like, oh no, bleed is bad, never do bleed. And then, when the Vampire the Masquerade book about romance actually sits you down and goes, okay, this is the thing that's going to happen. A lot of people actually enjoy it. Here's how you can make it work for you. And people get so angry about it because, again, it's the incurious attitude. It's the not wanting to approach games in new ways and find new ways of playing, you know?
Yeah, I like. I feel like I've been like, uh, well, okay. I'm trying to think of a way to say this that isn't like, because there's always like there's a version of this argument where it's like, where it is just like the chud thing of like, oh, I don't want safe tables, but like, I guess my thought on this is just like I've been hurt at safe tables. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh,
I've
yeah.
felt uncomfortable as a trans woman at safe
You,
tables. I'm doing huge quotation
you,
marks.
tables which have implemented safety tools.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem with a lot of them is, I've done this rant before. I fucking hate the X card as a mechanic
Hmm.
because by the time it comes up, it's too fucking late. You
Right.
know, like if you get to a point where you need to tap out, you're like 3 or 4 failed conversations into a pattern of not communicating by that point. You know?
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I also do like I see the value in having, especially if you're playing with like strangers. I see the value in having like a an improvised safety mechanism, but I also do like totally agree from that front where it's like, yeah, like uh, something is fundamentally wrong if someone has to pull out the X card, basically.
Yeah. And
Um,
then you get all these fucking messy social dynamics around actually whacking it out, and it's just like there are better ways, you know?
yeah.
It
Um,
shouldn't
Sorry.
The onus shouldn't be on the person who's having the problem to deal with this stuff. The way you make this stuff work is by having these conversations proactively ahead of time, you know?
Yeah,
You go in already knowing what you're doing with stuff and where the lines are.
I definitely agree. I think that safety is something that has to be done at the table as well as like
Yep,
in the writing. Sigmund Thotep says, "My view has been that the issue is that it requires someone to interpret a group to ask for the thing to be stopped." That
yep,
that is
yep,
true. Yeah.
100%. Um, and like one of the things which, going back to my point about have you seen the fucked up horror that I run, is the reason that you can run fucked up horror is because in your session zero, everyone has sat down and gone, yeah, we want this to be horrific, we want it to be nasty. Here are the specific, wildly inappropriate topics we want to go into. Knock yourselves out. And having those conversations mean you actively have permission to go into areas that you maybe wouldn't otherwise, you know? Like, like some of the Dungeon Bitches playtests got fucking bleak. Like,
Yeah.
genuinely uncomfortable territory. But because we'd all signed up for um, this is what we want to be doing with this game, and particularly with what we want to do with this specific playtest, which is the let's see how far we can push this playtest. And because we were communicating all the way through, like it got right up to that line. Um, and there was a lot of fun tap dancing on the line of not okay. And it worked, you know?
Yeah. Um, I'd actually love to. So, um, a game that I generally quite like recently. I was playing Thirsty Sword Lesbians with some friends, and
Yeah.
I'd love to hear your opinion on this. So Thirsty Sword Lesbians has an XP trigger for if you
Mhm.
utilize a safety mechanic, either pallet or like X card, essentially. Um, and we had a long discussion about it because it was like this feels like it should be a gimme because it's it's did you did you utilize safety tools? Like, did you utilize the safety tools that were available? And it's like, if we didn't, like, if there was no friction in the play, right? If like everyone was comfortable with
If
everything that
everything was
happened,
going perfectly.
that means that we succeeded at that. But I do worry about the interpretation of that, where it's like you need to like the power gamer, and like obviously people shouldn't write for the worst possible person, but also like I was just kind of imagining this
Also,
like
you should
worst.
consider the incentives that your game produces. Like, if I'm playing a game which has that in it, I'm going to be like, yep, 5 minutes until the session closes. So I am going to say a bad word so somebody can tell me that's not okay and we all get XP.
Yeah,
Fine.
I don't think it's a
Um,
bad mechanic. It's just we kind of got hung up on it, you know.
I I dislike it. Um, so the take which I have on safety tools, actually,
Mhm.
which I think a lot of the other side of the debate to the chuds are going to get angry with me about, is that actually you kind of don't need them. Um, like the way that a game is emotionally safe and healthy to play in is by having those lines of communication open, knowing how to read each other and what's going on, and being able to talk to each other like healthy adults, right?
Yeah,
And safety tools are a way of codifying and streamlining what could otherwise be difficult and confusing conversations that you maybe don't have good language for. Like, um, like the idea of lines and veils is a really convenient way of codifying ways of removing content from the game. Um, but like if you've been playing with the same group and you all know each other really well, you've been friends for years, after a while you stop needing those specific tools because you just kind of know each other. Um, and like after a while, having to specifically invoke a codified mechanic for XP is just going to be clunky. And
yeah,
also, I think different groups are going to need different tools. Like, it's a thing which I've put in a lot of stuff that I've written. Is the point is the communication,
mhm.
and here are some methods that have worked for me. Here is why I think they work. But ultimately, these are not a game design tool. These are a socializing with your friends tool. Um, these are a working out a social contract in the same way that you would need to work out a social contract if you're having a poker night or playing, I don't know, football in your backyard or going fishing or whatever. Like, you need to be able to communicate shit with each other, you know?
Yeah,
Um, and different social groups are going to have different needs, and what's going to work for one person isn't going to work for another. And if a game has baked into the mechanics, this is how you handle these things, and baked into the mechanics, you are being rewarded for handling things in this way. Um, there are going to be as many groups which that doesn't work for as groups where it does, you know?
yeah. No, I definitely agree. Um, I think that the kind of on the same line of this conversation, Luke Games from the Wildwood in chat says
Yeah,
uh, that safety tools originate from con play, which yeah, like
yeah,
I think there's like safety tools are very useful in like density. Like my friend Jess Levine is playtesting Planet Fist right now, and I got to
yeah,
play a couple of those, and it was like, yeah, these safety tools are useful here because it's like
yeah,
basically strangers in, you know, groups that are being thrown together over a weekend. Um,
yeah,
but I definitely think they're. I think I very much agree that they're maybe less useful and potentially even like um, could be problematic in a group that knows each other better and is more
yeah.
just inherently comfortable with everything.
But also, you hit the. Do you know what I mean by you hit the website moderation problem? Where as soon as you codify something, bad actors are going to weaponize them.
Right.
Um, like I have in the past, I have had some wonderful, and when I say wonderful, I mean very funny with hindsight, very frustrating at the time, experiences with um, bad actors who kicked off PvP against me
Yeah.
and then did not win the PvP and then felt they needed to tap out because they weren't getting to curb stomp the social conflict that they had started.
Right.
Um, and it's like, I get that I'm sure this is all very upsetting for you, but you have taken the game to a point where it is like a competitive conflict between us that both of us are trying to win at, you know? And now you're not winning, you're using the safety tools to win. Oh, hey, I'm seeing names that I recognize in here.
Hi,
And
Rosalind.
since there are names that I recognize in here, I'm just going to drop some tea. It's Fiona Geist. I played Monster Hearts with her. She was
Hi.
terrible.
Oh,
Um,
that's fair.
it was, and that game was the point when we stopped being friends, and then that whole wing of the OS decided they didn't like me.
I had a
It's with
terrible
hindsight very funny.
I had a terrible experience with the GM running Monster Hearts at PAX EU, so uh, Monster Hearts is um, this whole conversation is making me think of one of my favorite tweets, which I'm going to put up on the screen.
Yeah,
um, which I guess this is kind of another problem that can happen, but I think it's also related. Um, it's it's this one. It's by at okay but still. Crumster.
yeah.
Hi, Hawaiian bread form noob, but I've enjoyed it for years. Got a lift with Lewis. Budget fave today. It seems not as sweet lately. Anyone else notice this? TJ Lee, mod. Well, I'd link you to the rules, but you must have read them and decided to break every single one. Um, I feel like there's a degree of like when you choose to codify something, you are like uh also
Yeah.
kind of making it so like anybody can just be like you fucker, you're being aggressive, you're being an aggressive trans woman in this space.
I yeah. Um, that has definitely happened. I have had the experience of being a Discord mod in a Discord which also had Zach Smith in it, which was
Hmm.
fucking nightmarish.
God.
Like this was before all of the stuff with the rapes came out,
Oh
so
God.
it's not please don't cancel me. But like just imagine trying to be a forum moderator and one of the posters is Zach Smith, and Zach Smith has seen that the forum has you know, a set of rules that he can use.
Right. Jeez.
Um, it wasn't a pleasant experience. That man is infuriating. There is something wrong with his brain.
It seems like it. Um, this is a
So yeah,
deeply anti Zach Smith stream and account. Um,
good.
I have been even before I was really like talking about RPGs on here. Like I guess like well yeah, I guess I started Baldur's Gate 3 before I
Yeah,
did that. I was like very. I did like an entire hour before I start Baldur's Gate 3 being like, fuck Zach Smith, fuck Mike Merles, like just going off, and then also we raised some money for like
Yeah,
sexual assault awareness, which was good. Um,
yeah. Like, I think I'm on Zach's official enemies list. Like, I think he
Hell
still
yeah.
has the bounty out for bad information that will destroy my career.
Well, I'm excited to hear it, and
Ah,
we'll be keeping an eye out for that.
well, they haven't discovered the murders yet.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like circling back onto
Yes.
um, the topic of safety tools. This is where we were going.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it was this really weird experience of like using safety tools to kind of declaim responsibility for the actions that she had initiated.
Hmm.
Um, like I don't know what you want to do about a situation where you tried to kill my PC and now my PC is going around, hey, this person tried to kill me.
Right.
Um, like I don't know how you want to retcon 3 sessions of RP around that. Um, and it's just like every like compromising situation she came up with, it was like, no, I'm gonna slap the X card, we can't do that. And it's like,
Woof.
I'm sure it's very fraught and emotional for you, but my sympathy only goes so far, you know?
Yeah, because you keep doing this, and then you're there. It sounds like a birthday boy situation. Uh,
And like, my brother in Christ, you started the argument.
yeah. Um, that sounds fucked. You know who's very good with like safety as conversation? Who we both know.
Yeah,
Your partner, my friend Wendy Ribston, I think is very good with
yeah.
that. Um, like in the Rust and Raiders game that we're both playing in, I am playing as a very promiscuous prostitute. Uh,
You handled very well.
yeah,
Um,
and Wendy has asked me like, are you okay with what's happened so far? Do you want me to go further? And it's been very nice.
yeah, it's been really good. Um, I am gonna be honest, that entire side of the game is somewhat sliding completely over my smooth metal head. Um, I am playing the world's most adorable bomb disposal bot, um, with child-friendly features.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what was it from the last session? I was singing, like, I think I was singing the "Don't Stand Near That Ledge, It Doesn't Have a Safety Rail" song.
Right. Um, that game's great though because it has that element of like um, the kind of organic and the synthetic kind of
Mhm.
connecting and failing to connect. I I I hope we get to play that tomorrow.
Any
Because
game which lets me play a goofy robot, I am going to play. You have no idea how many RPGs I've turned up and said, "Hello, I would like to play as a Roomba."
it's good.
Um, it's good. Like any game that lets me be a robot.
Hell yeah. Um, are there any going through my kind of normal Dovecote questions? Are there any games that are like coming out or that are out that you're excited for? Any RPGs?
Any RPGs that are coming out that I am excited for? I'm going to be honest with you. Um, at the moment, most of my excitement for new stuff comes from every time Vampire 5th Edition makes a new book, and I get very excited and go, "Oh, they've put more cool stuff in." Um, Yay, there are more bloodlines for me to abuse. Um, Yay, more weird cults. It's like there's. I know I'm supposed to be a champion of the indie world, yada yada yada, but there is so much indie stuff. So much indie stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and honestly, I am a dyed in the wool vampire player, and what Paradox are doing with Vampire at the moment is fucking cutting edge. It is chef's kiss. It's so good.
Hell yeah. I
You
have a
know?
lot of I've been making a lot of really cool friends who like vampire, and
Yeah.
it may come time soon for me to also make that jump. I played a horny play-by-post of Changeling the Gathering with some straight people a couple years ago, and that's the most that's the
Oh
most real
no.
darkness experience I have. It's horrible.
I've I've had the unfortunate experience of playing fucking Monster Hearts with straight people.
Oh, oh
It was
no,
an experience.
God.
On the other hand, playing Monster Hearts where everyone is queer and you have the one token straight man at the table,
Hmm.
always fun, always hilarious.
The Grungler or whatever that fucking meme is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh. Um. Oh, because we're both people who have played Monster Hearts
Yes.
to some degree. What is your opinion on aging up Monster Hearts?
Aging up Monster Hearts? That's not like an official splat book that I've not read or something, is it?
No, just the process of aging up Monster Hearts to like college age.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I am in my 30s. I have that thing a lot of queers have, where a lot of the memories of me being a teenager are fuzzy static and kind of gone. Um, I can't relate to a lot of kid protagonists, you know?
Fair.
Um, it's a problem I have with, like, I really like rom-com anime, and finding rom-com anime where everyone involved is over the age of 18 is such a fucking slog. Um, so no, I am a firm favor of it. Make your characters university students, and it fundamentally works exactly the same. And also, like, your characters can be financially independent and have jobs and be allowed to drink, you know?
True.
I don't think it's as big a deal as some people make it out to be.
I think I'm on the record
And
as saying that it's cowardly, but also I'm like not sure if I fully believe that anymore. Because I think you've made a very compelling argument for it.
like I don't buy the you should do it because it's creepy to play as kids.
Right.
Um I think what I remember of being a teenager and a lot of the stories I've heard, like the events of a Monster Heart game that don't involve being a vampire. That's what being a teenager is like, you know?
Yeah. Leave the
I
kids
don't
alone.
I
Let
don't
them
buy
sleep.
yeah, I don't buy the whole oh we have to make it nice and comfy and presentable. You should be allowed to have messy shit in your games.
Yep.
Um my main problem is I just cannot empathize with a 15-year-old at this point. Like it's a stage in my life that I have moved on from conclusively.
Yep.
And it's like I don't have the investment anymore.
That's fairly
You know?
relatable for me as well. Yeah. I mean, I to be fair, I have not actually played uh Monster Hearts in. I think I played it once or twice, and it was always aged up. Um, I, yeah, but yeah. No, I think you're right. I
Yeah.
definitely. I
Like I don't think playing like office workers in their 30s would work.
mhm.
But like university students, just do all that process of new discovery, yada yada yada.
Yeah,
Um, I think you could shift it to a lot of other settings where it's like young adults out in the world for the first time. You could have them as like novices in a monastery or new recruits on an army base or something like that, and it would still work.
yeah.
Um,
You could also do like burnouts, like 21 year old, like still in their hometown type vibe. Um,
I've known people in their 40s that are still doing that, but that
yeah.
just gets depressing.
I'm 26 and I'm still doing it, or 25. Sorry. If I were 26, I would have a problem because my insurance would lapse. But no,
Hmm.
it's tough.
But yeah, I get why if you advertise Monster Heart as the game about 15-year-olds fucking each other, people are gonna treat it like you're being a weirdo.
Right.
But people are gonna treat you like you're being a weirdo for engaging with the mildest of queer fiction anyway. Um, if you care what the fucking what's the word? What's the if you care what the sanitized cozy mob want, you've already lost. Fuck 'em.
Yeah. Mhm. No,
You
I
have a
definitely agree.
heart of gold.
Thank you for the
Don't
follow,
let them take it from you.
Wrecked Man. Um, yeah, I definitely agree. I think, yeah. Uh, let me think if there's anything else. Are there any vampire thing, like 5e things that you want to specifically, like, point to as being particularly good?
Yes, yes. So I did this rant a little bit earlier with like the bleed discussion.
Hmm.
Um, that section in that book is so good. Like, there's been a problem with RPG theory, where a lot of theory that we have around like emotional investment and the almost like metafictional interaction between the player and the fictional avatar and so on has been really, really deeply explored
Hmm.
in LARP circles. And like everybody goes, oh yeah, Nordic LARP is really academic, and that's true. But also, like as somebody who LARPs in the UK and goes to like big fest LARPs where I wear plate armor for a weekend, we are also having those discussions about like the way bleed is affecting you and the way that different characters are channeling different parts of yourself and the way that the IC-OC boundary can get fuzzy. And there is a literacy in these LARP communities I've been in with these issues
Yeah.
that I don't think there really is in the wider like tabletop gaming community. Like it feels like the tabletop gaming community is lagging like 10 years behind where LARP is. Um, and a lot of the advice that I've been seeing, specifically in Vampire the Masquerade, has been really ahead of the curve for tabletop gaming, has been really digging into the weeds of this stuff, going into it in detail, has been having these conversations that I've been wishing tabletop gaming has been having, and has been assuming that the reader is an intelligent adult who is thinking about this stuff seriously, who doesn't need their handheld, who doesn't need the 101 Newtonian physics intro to basic concept version, and that you can actually like really dig into it. Um, like it's really good. Um, and it's coming out of like a big mainstream trad publisher as well, which I think is really important.
Yeah.
Because like there are little indie games which have these conversations in them. Like Dungeon Bitches has these conversations in it. Um, but seeing a company that size with that amount of recognition actually talking about this stuff, I think really matters. Um, like genuinely, I think even if you don't want to play vampire, if you don't care about vampires, get like the Vampire the Masquerade Player's Companion and the romance book they put out recently. And I think Cults of the Blood God is pretty good as well if you want to put religion into the game. And just read the playing the game advice they have in them. And it's just kind of solid advice, you know, it's just good stuff to have read.
Yeah.
Paradox are not paying me, I'm just a fangirl.
Yeah. Uh,
Thank
I,
you, Games from the Wildwood. It was fucking infuriating. It was the most basic infantile of takes.
it was pretty pathetic.
It was like it was people talking about behavior that like at the LARPs I go to is so normalized that it's like a thing that people joke about. Of like, yeah, I'm gonna go to the LARP for the weekend and I'm gonna cry and have a miserable time. I'm really looking forward to it. And it's a joke, you know? Because everyone knows the player that does that and it's normal. And seeing people on Twitter going, yeah, if you do this in your games, you're being manipulative and abusive and you're not safe to be around. It's like, holy shit, what fucking planet do you live on? Um, please go and talk to the no safety tools ever D&D crowd. You know, you have more in common than you think.
Yeah. I feel like there's I don't know. I feel like the last like 3 or 4 discourses on TTRPG Twitter have just been like goo goo gaga baby shit a little bit. Um,
Did you see the one that blew up where it was like Hodak,
my
who
poor
is like a
Hodag, my poor friend
yeah,
Hodag.
he
I feel so bad for Hodag.
he's a fucking lovely guy.
I love it. He's
Um,
really nice.
unless I'm very much mistaken, rampagingly gay,
I
but
don't I don't
also
know, but
like
maybe.
I think he is. I think he is. I get that vibe. But
Okay.
also like plays a grimdark OSR game,
Yeah.
and um, like he put up this fucking infographic where it was like GMs should be able to just say no to players sometimes. Like sometimes actually it's good to restrict what goes into your game world and to focus things. And the fucking response that people got. It's like my man, I don't think not having Dragonborn in your D&D game is actually a hate crime. I don't think this man is actually being deliberately homophobic. I think he has an artistic taste.
Um,
Um,
Me and my guest on Friday, Victor Navy Pink, were talking about this, and like it's it's wild to. I think it's like a result of a certain level of like over incorporation between like uh the thing that like Wizards of the Coast, the company wants you to think is queer culture, and like what is actually queer culture. It's like no,
yes.
playing as a tiefling is not queer culture.
Yeah. Games from the Wildwood has just pointed this up in the chat, and it's like
Mhm.
absolutely. Like tieflings are not gay representation. They are purple people with horns.
Yeah,
My friends, there are games out there with actual fucking fags in them. Go play that. Like, you don't even need to go to the indie shit. You don't even need to go to the obscure games like Dungeon Bitches. Like, have you seen the amount of explicitly, actively, textually queer stuff that happens in Vampire?
yeah, from the fucking like 90s. Like it's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Like, I get that she is a problematic queen and maybe not the wholesome, sanitized, good, positive representation that we deserve, but I'm pretty sure Sasha Vikos has cracked some eggs.
Mhm.
You know?
Yeah, I
Like,
am. I'm so fucking. I don't know. So like I've joked a lot that Sapphic World is my attempt to like uh
yeah.
to ruin the brains of like Stradfucker tiefling queers. Um, but also it's
Oh
true.
god, it's
It's
yeah.
important.
Like, and you know what the sad thing is? You know,
Hmm.
my thoughts have mellowed over time. Do you remember that whole Curse of Hearts thing that got pulled off drive through for being too gay and sexy?
Yes, I do.
Like, now being a lesbian and that game being like just wall to wall twinks and beefcake,
Hmm.
it was in no way to my taste, and I looked at it and went, "This is not for me." And like, this is talking to like the cis gay male kind of gay club community almost. Um, and it's laser focused at that gay subculture. Um, and it getting pulled from DM's Guild is the Stradfucker Tiefling players should have taken that as their side. You know,
Yeah, no, definitely.
it's like I know you want D&D to be queer, but here we have like a flamboyantly, unabashedly, wildly gay designer making a product which is about as gay as it's possible for it to be. Like, it was, even by my standards, unusually gay.
They were touching dicks and ass in that book.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the balls were touching.
balls were touching.
Um, and it got pulled,
Yeah.
and that tells you, yeah, look, games from the Wildwood. I am beginning to enjoy your comments. Yeah, it tells you what they think. It tells you what they think of your um. Yeah,
Games from the
like
Wildwood is great, by the way. Uh,
I am I am increasingly approving of. Like, honestly, the chat is echoing my opinions back to me, and I love it.
that's what it's there for. Um, Folks should check out. I'm not sure these are not out yet, but I think they're in the like.
Yeah,
Luke has a game. Games from the Wildwood has a game in
yeah.
from Possum Creek that folks should look at once it's out. Or
Oh,
actually two. What is it? Grand Guignol and Harvest.
nice.
People should look at
I
those.
I keep thinking like I should probably make a thing and pitch it to Possum Creek. I'm
You
pretty sure I
should.
could do a thing that they would. With hindsight, I could probably have pitched the Yellow Curtain to Possum Creek. Like, it's a little bit gay and extremely experimental, and also like, it does their GM-less shtick. I should have pitched it to them.
Still time. I
There.
mean, maybe there's not, but
No, it got successfully kickstarted.
okay, yeah, that's
Like,
done then.
Sasha is talking to printers.
Hell yeah.
Like,
Um, Jay is actually in
but
the Ogre
yeah,
next month. I can now
sweet.
announce. Yeah, 19th.
But and like, I look at a lot of Possum Creek's output, and like a lot of it is tonally not my jam. But
Yeah,
they also released Sleepaway Camp, which is holy shit.
yeah. Sleepaway's
Um,
great.
it gets bleak. I fucking love it. I have played it exactly once, and before that game kind of came apart for unrelated reasons, genuinely eye-opening. Like, genuinely a wait, you can do this with games? Oh yeah, also Rosalind in with the Angry Gay, yeah.
No, I agree.
Um, she says, I have a thesis on the subject about how there's elements in the community that want eternal yearning and vibes, but nothing so threatening as anyone actually textually having sex.
Yeah.
100% correct. Yeah.
Um, one of
Um,
one of my favorite things that my friend Jin did in a D&D game that I ran before I was done with D&D, was just ask a character if he wanted to have sex with her character, and
yeah.
then they had sex off screen, and it was good and normal. I feel like that like fundamentally impacted my
Yeah.
my like design philosophy, my GMing philosophy as well.
There was a tweet I put up a while back that got so many people pissed off,
Oh
where
no.
it was, um, I think the process of camping in D&D is overlooked for the RP potential. Like, the question of who is sharing a tent together is an emotionally fraught and interesting question, and if you just skip over it, you're missing out. And the number of people telling me children play this game is fucking.
uh,
Anyway, yeah, I want it to be known. All my vampire PCs canonically fuck.
did you say this was recently?
No, it was a few years back.
Okay, I was just because I looked at it's 2020. Um, the year
Like,
these last few years have been fake though. Like it might as well be recently.
yeah,
Yeah,
but I hate to say this. Um, there is a D&D fandom that wants comfy, um, I'm almost self-indulgent, low stakes, shiny, nice, Avengers-y. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they
And
want
thinks
sexy
that looks
villains, but
RPGs up.
no, but not villains who
Yeah,
fuck.
yeah. Um, and I feel like the D&D fandom is a different phenomenon to tabletop role-playing games as a community.
Mhm.
Like I point back to Hodak. Hodak was writing for an audience of like OSR people, where this kind of thing is just kind of an understood feature of the game. Like your GM is going to have hacked some stuff, they're going to have cut some options out, they're going to have added some stuff, you know.
Yeah,
And then the D&D fandom found it and just couldn't wrap their head around the idea of the GM changing the game.
yeah, I definitely agree. Um, on the topic of camping, actually, I had
Yeah,
some feedback in a recent Sapphic World playtest where they were the player was basically saying that like so currently Sapphic World travel is basically just like you roll a PBTA type move or
yeah,
a PBTA move in it
yeah.
and you uh I forget the exact results, but it's like usually you like pick some interesting things or some bad things or some good things. Um, and they were saying like there wasn't enough between time, and so like I'm thinking about ways to integrate some camping and some downtime to that move because I think that stuff is really important. Um,
So
yeah.
one of the tools which I used in the Yellow Curtain that I really like is rather than having something like that be a move, is you treat it as a codified scene
Hmm.
where you go, oh, it looks like we are doing a camping scene. Cool. We are going to have a set of options. We go down the list of options and like tick off our thing, or we answer these questions as a group. And this will like codify and shape what the camping scene looks like, and then we'll like work out what the fiction for that is, what that looks like in the narrative, and that is the camping. Um, so something I'm really really proud of, something I'm super fucking proud of, um, is in the Yellow Curtain there is trysts, which is when you have two people getting together for a romantic scene, and rather than it being like you play through a romantic scene with two people and everybody else at the table gets to sit there and listen. Um, you zoom out, and every player gets to ask one or more of the like characters in the scene a question about what's going down and how they feel about it and how they're like participating. Um, and the characters answer, and that is your romance scene, you know?
Yeah.
It's like you just have people sitting you down and go, okay, do you feel safe right? Do you feel satisfied by this? Yada yada yada. And you just kind of rip out the actual emotional core of the scene with a meat hook, almost,
Yeah.
without needing to do it beat by beat, you know?
That's the thing that I
And I
really like
think more
about
scenes benefit from that.
yeah. That's a thing that I really like about Vincent Baker's mobile frame firebrands, um,
Huh.
and games in that same vein, that like scene oriented play. Um,
Yeah.
it's very good.
I stole it from Sleepaway Camp.
Oh yeah, that's another good one for that. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to slam through the news really quick, and then we'll take a break, and then we'll answer
Hell yeah.
the torrent of emails that I have? Awesome.
Rosalind, you are correct. Put goblins in my game. Anyway, yeah, let's do the news. Let's do the fucking
Orcs
news.
should have been replaced. I have so many opinions about like how they could have made Baldur's Gate 3 more specific to the to like the actual things that happened in the game, but that's another
We'll
topic
get
for
to
another
that.
time.
We'll get to that.
Yeah. The news. First of all, Warhammer: The Old World is the return of Warhammer Fantasy Battle. The Age of Sigmar is over. Um, I don't know much
It's
about
not
this.
over.
Okay, explain this to
Um,
me.
so in the beginning, you had Warhammer Fantasy Battles set in like a pastiche of like 16th century, the real world, mostly 16th century Europe, you know?
Hmm.
Um, and you had you had your cannon wielding dwarves in the mountains, you had your French people and your Russian people and your German people. Um, you had the USA in Warhammer Fantasy, which was very funny because it was the Dark Elves, It was the nation on the bit of the map where North America is,
Mhm.
who are horrific warmongering slavers dominating the seas with their aircraft carriers. Like, Games Workshop were not subtle. Um, and for reasons that aren't quite clear and mostly come down to executive meddling, they like they took the apocalypse that the setting had always been pointing to in the future and did it as a campaign. And then the setting was over, and they retired Warhammer Fantasy Battles and replaced it with Age of Sigmar. Age of Sigmar has turned out to be pretty good in my view. Like, it's a perfectly good skirmish game. I like it. And now they've brought back Warhammer Fantasy Battles. They've brought back that setting with the rank and flank, big square blocks of infantry, um, back like it was. It's a blatant exercise in nostalgia. And, it's been like a decade or whatever. A lot of people have a decade of nostalgia and are super fucking pumped.
Hmm.
I am super fucking pumped, you know?
Yeah. Um,
Like, one of the things which they've been really smart with that I really like is if you look at the armies that they're supporting in this. So, like, there's two sets of armies in this. There are ones where we guess you probably have the models. We're going to give you an army list. That's your job. Done. And then there's
mhm.
like, we're actually supporting these. We're going to be making dedicated books on them. We're going to be bringing back the models. We're going to be making new models for them. And all the ones they're actually supporting are ones which don't have a model line in Age of Sigmar.
Oh,
Like,
fun.
vampire counts aren't really in it because there is a vampire count stat faction in Age of Sigmar, you know?
Mhm.
Um, Dark Elves. Dark Elves have two factions at this point. Um, so it's all like they've brought back the Britannians and the High Elves and the Wood Elves, stuff which doesn't really have their army anymore.
Neat.
Um, and like, from everything I've seen of the rule set, it is. Do you know what I mean by going back to it with 10 years of hindsight and just
Yeah.
fixing all of the little issues, but not making a new game? It's not radically different, but it was remastered, I guess.
Neat. Yeah. Uh, it,
Like, I've
yeah.
and I've seen a lot of discourse of like, oh, it's they're bringing back old models. It's 20-year-old sculpts. They're not as good as the modern ones. And it's like, sure, but also it's a fucking nostalgia exercise. What do you think it's for? You know? And it works. Um, and
Hell yeah.
also the books are fucking gorgeous. Like, I know they're a big company that just wants to make money, and they're the wargaming version of D&D. But Games Workshop's book layout and art is the best in the industry at the moment, in my view. Like, their books are fucking beautiful. I,
I have
but
very
yeah,
little experience with Warhammer, but yeah. I know a lot of
a
people who
lot of
watch the show are into it, so I figure,
yeah,
yeah.
a lot of nerds in my age bracket are very excited right now, and I am one of them.
Hell yeah. What is it saying? Really like the goofy looking
Yeah,
skeletons from 20 years ago.
yeah,
Are these kind of in the same
I
vein, these guys?
yeah. So that's one bit of news.
Hell yeah.
What's the other bit of
We
news?
we have one other tiny bit of news, which honestly I think the most this will get is boo. Disney Lorcana publisher launches the first kid-friendly Disney-themed tabletop RPG. They're doing a
It's
Lorcana
creatively bankrupt and
TTRPG.
it's shit.
Yeah, it's garbage.
Wait, they're
Fuck
doing a
off.
TTRPG? They're doing a role-playing game with like dice?
Yeah, yeah.
Fuck off.
But I think it seems like
No,
it's like a one-shot type thing. Playing as
no.
Belle, Violet, Moana, and Maid Marian. So, um, it also
Fuck
has
off.
Lisa Penrose, who worked on Baldur's Gate: Descent into Avernus and Waterdeep Dungeon: The Mad Mage, two very bad D&D supplements. So don't buy that. There was not very much
So,
news that was not covered on Friday. So
so actually, no, I am going to say a thing. I'm going to say a
okay,
thing.
say that.
Controversially, the more I hear about this, the more happy I am. And do you know why I'm happy?
Why?
It has Disney money behind it, meaning it will
Oh,
probably hurt Hasbro.
true.
And at this point, I just like things that hurt Hasbro, you know?
Let them fight.
Yeah, I D&D is a blight on the industry, and its suffering is good for the medium as a whole. I'm going to make a lot of people very angry when I say this, but it really is. It fucking
Yeah,
stifles the rest of the art form, and anything which damages D&D's stranglehold over RPGs is good. I don't expect Lorcana will do much because it's soulless and shit,
yeah,
because it always is. But it might, hurt D&D. Good.
yeah. We need a million Lorcana
Um,
supplements. We need a full RPG just to
and
make
like,
Hasbro suffer.
thing about Lorcana is it's so fucking like I looked at the game
Hmm.
and it's just like, wow, this really is a Magic the Gathering knockoff. You
Yeah,
did not have any original ideas that we haven't seen in like the last 30 years of think pieces of how I would fix Magic the Gathering, you know?
yeah. My friend Marcy Masswife says, from what I can tell, Lorcana is a card game only for children and scalpers.
Yeah.
I have to be very careful because my girlfriend does like Lorcana, but yeah, no.
I mean, I am I am a diehard Yu-Gi-Oh player, so my
Mhm,
opinion on Lorcana is, yeah, if you're going to be a knockoff of a TCG, you couldn't even pick the good one.
mhm.
But oh god, oh god, I Magic the Gathering has fucking jumped the shark
The
so
fucking
hard.
Fallout shit. You know, here's the thing.
I I do not want to be in a Magic the Gathering. I used to really like playing. I used to be a big
Mhm.
EDH player. And like recently I was looking to get back into it and I was like, okay, what's going on in EDH right now? And I did some Googling and the first thing I saw is Pinkie Pie goes infinite with a bad and a despoiler. And then I just closed that window and concluded that the game was no longer for me. It's
Yeah,
fucking Funko Pops.
here's the thing.
God, I sound really bitter.
You're so valid. I will win if they make a Nick Valentine card. Uh, and the Fallout cards have not been revealed yet, so I'll be keeping an eye out. I will buy that exclusively, and then I will not touch Magic ever because I don't really play it.
I the only thing I can say about Fallout in Magic the Gathering is that they are, I guarantee you, they are too much of cowards to make Caesar's Legion white.
True, true, true.
Um, Likewise, they are too much of cowards to make Mr. House red black,
Yeah,
which
real.
oh god,
Caesar's
there's that
Legion will
thing about
almost
how
certainly
you
be red.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's no, it's not. They're fucking fascists. They're in white.
yeah. They're
I
gonna
know that
make
thing
Mr.
about
House
how you
green.
play blame.
Nick Valentine will
I
probably be blue, if I had to guess.
yeah. There's that running joke about like how you play Fallout 3 tells you what kind of person you are.
Mhm.
Um Unironically, Mr. House is the correct option. Fuck the
Oh,
NCR.
New Vegas,
Double
yeah.
fuck Caesar's Legion. Triple fuck blowing everything up and not being involved. Like he's not great. He has some weird ideas about the free market, but man, Mr. House is the way forward.
I'm a yes man head, but also like I suppose I'm a yes man head in the sense that like I have I have headcanons about how things would go that are probably not like consistent with the beliefs of the writers of that game. You know what I mean?
I I really wish the game had let me just be friends with Benny and get in on his grift.
Yeah,
That would have been great.
it's a good one.
Like he seemed like a sensible dude.
Um, since Fallout is being discussed, I have to shout out for my homeboy, William Shen. Play get a save file of Fallout 4 that's like right before Far Harbor
Yep.
and play that, and then don't play any
Yep.
other Bethesda stuff. Far Harbor is fucking awesome. It's like the best CRPG Bethesda has ever made, and then don't do anything else.
Yeah.
And then play New
I
Vegas.
I I really feel like Magic the Gathering doesn't understand its own color pie. You know,
It seems like it.
like black is not the evil color; it's just the libertarian color.
Mhm.
And despite what tankies will tell you, those are actually different things.
Yeah,
Um, discourse is going to happen in the chat. Shall we move on?
yeah, sure. I think we'll take. How do you feel about taking like a 5 minute break and we'll answer emails?
I'm good.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, we'll be back in 5.
yeah, I'll talk to you later.
All right. See you in a bit. Hello, we're back. Hi. I forgot to bring Cordis in. Cordis the bird. Cordis was late. Cordis was getting a mani-pedi. Um, there we go. The news bird is here. And finally, Apocrypha, the male bird, will arrive. Not saying that Apocrypha's gender is an anomaly. We actually don't know.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, we're
Sweet.
back, and we're gonna read some fucking mail.
Hello.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I should do this here. I'm gonna give you a look at my email because I cannot show this on screen because some people do not want their names mentioned. Um,
Mhm.
so some funny subjects on some of these. This one is from Duck, Ulysses Duckler, who is a friend of mine and collaborator. Hello. How do you make healing and disease in TTRPGs be engaging and interesting without being either too sad to address or too easy to brush off? From Duck. And the subject is Urgenut. Will you sign the petition supporting gamers' rights? Um, so healing and disease. Uh, I'd love to hear your thoughts first if you have some.
So, I have a principle where every game I make at this point has an option to play Frankenfran. Um, I am. I have just kind of accepted that I am fascinated by surgery and body modification and that kind of thing as a creative endeavor almost, and as like a creative motif. Um, so the first thing I think is to have an interesting way for bad things to happen to your characters. Have lots of different vectors for bad things to happen along. Um, and then you kind of just follow that up by it's going to vary wildly depending on the engine that you're using, but you vary it up and you make it so that you don't just roll a dice to fix the thing. You make it require like inventiveness or skill or creativity on the player's part to actually work out what to do. Um, like in one of the games I'm working on at the moment, there is a fairly in-depth herbalism system to make different like drugs and so on using herbs.
Yeah.
But and these will fix the various problems you have. Like, did you take an injury which gouged your eye out? Congratulations, you can make an eye grow back potion. Um, but to do this, you need to actually find the right plants in the world, which means being able to do herbalism successfully is a reward for exploration, right? Um, so I would say disease and injury and things like that need to be fundamentally debuffs where the solution to your debuff should basically require you to engage in whatever your game's core gameplay is. Like if it's a social game, then the solution to your debuff is getting hold of things and organizing people by interacting with people socially. In an exploration game, you have to go out into the wilderness and find the cures, and so on.
Yeah. I definitely agree. I I did a title, a playbook in Sapphic World recently, called the Sea Surgeon, whose whole thing is they have a exposed heart that is slowly growing all these like polyps and scales that they use to like mix together different like psychoactive and like medicinal like tinctures that all have like different effects. Um,
I know writers who use subtext.
yeah, um, and it's very similar where it's like there are specific triggers for getting the different polyps and scales um, that fit into kind of the broader themes and ideas of the game. It's something that I'm probably going to try and like make more explicit as I go on, but
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely agree. Like I think it's about what your game is doing and making sure that it feeds into that, both negative and positive. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
As far as depressing goes, I feel like this shit's only depressing if it's just like a bleak downward spiral with nothing you can do about it.
Mhm.
Um, like a problem you can fix isn't depressing. It's a challenge. A problem you can't fix is depressing. You know?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Um, like I think that there is something interesting for like you know um, games that explore chronic and long term illness, but like if you're just talking about like healing and disease, I think it should be something that's resolvable. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, cool.
I mean,
Uh,
the other thing is like, where is the gameplay? How does it drive gameplay if there's nothing you can do about it? You know?
yeah,
And like, I'm sure there are things that you could do if you were very arty and cleverer than I am, but I tend to make games about people killing things in dungeons.
fair. Uh, next from Lilith,
Hmm.
subject stream question. What
Yep.
is your favorite type of fantasy? This was from the last one. We didn't get through all the questions, so it'll just be what is your favorite type of fantasy?
What is my favorite type of fantasy? Um, I like historical fantasy. Um, I like settings which just go, yeah, it's the real world, but also there are wizards, rather than inventing new, continents and languages, yada yada yada. Like Tolkien did it, and it was very good when Tolkien did it, but most people are not Tolkien. One of your species, or cultures, or nations is going to be a knockoff of medieval France. Just have France. It's okay for it to just be France, you know?
Fair. Um,
Like, and you can vary it up by era and bit of the world you're looking at. But history is so rich. Just add dragons to 10th century England and you're good.
just add dragons.
Yeah.
Um, my take I think is like different, but or my favorite type of fantasy I think is different, but like I think has um similar urges, I guess, which is that I really like fantasy that is someone building off of stuff in their own way. Like I like fantasy where it's like someone didn't go to Tolkien, someone went like a step before Tolkien, um, to the like actual history um,
Yeah.
or like the fairy tales that he was inspired by and like used those
Hmm.
as and like reinterpreted those. Um, I would always far rather see something um, that's doing a unique thing
Yeah.
with existing fiction or existing history uh, rather than like fucking Forgotten Realms or whatever.
Yeah. So I have a similar take with Lovecraft,
Hmm.
um, where a lot of what I want from that style of game goes back to Lovecraft's influences, and it's like based on things like Arthur Machen and Algernon Blackwood and those like turn of the 20th century horror writers. Um, I think there's some really rich veins there that aren't getting mined as much as they could be.
Hmm.
You know?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I One of my favorite. It's weird because they're like a comedy group, but I think they've done some like genuinely they did some genuinely fantastic horror during their time. Wham City Comedy. Um, they did
Okay.
a what was it? It was a video series. I think it was like Cult of the Hand, where it's like a um, this like cult that is obsessed with cleanliness because if they don't keep their corners clean, then Tindalus hounds will come and kill them. Um, and I
Redfall.
really liked their like it's not like tentacles and monsters and all that shit. It's just people acting in ways that are erratic because they believe certain
Mhm.
things. And I think that's like
Yeah.
so much more of a fun Lovecraftian mode of storytelling. Cool.
Yeah. Have you heard my Lovecraft sanity take?
I don't know if I have.
So, fundamentally, PCs being PCs, you do not need a sanity stat in order to get a Lovecraftian narrative. Because most Lovecraftian protagonists aren't actually mentally unwell, they're acting completely rationally
Hmm.
on knowledge that other people don't have and don't believe. Like the go-to example is the one where the guy learns that there's a species of ghouls living in tunnels under the ground that, grab people and drag them underground and eat them. And he appears stark staring mad because he refuses to go into any building with a basement these days. And it's like, no, he's not mad. He knows about a thing that you don't.
Right.
Um, and over time, if you present your PCs with weird shit and danger, they will start behaving in ways that would seem deeply irrational to an outside observer. Because, they're PCs, they're optimizing for their survival. That's what player characters do. You don't need to tell them they're mad. They're going to start acting like nutters anyway.
Right. Yeah, that's fun. I like that. Lilith is asking another question, which I think is also good. Um, Speaking of Lovecraft, what's your favorite type of horror?
Um, I am going to just shill one of my favorite films. It is called Cairo
Hmm.
or Pulse, depending on the translation you're looking at. It's from about the year 2000. It's Japanese. It is an extended, almost like tone poem about the internet and loneliness and suicide and connection and ghosts. Um, I'm not going to spoil how it ends. It's really fucking good. There are no jump scares, there's no gore, there's no really even explicit nastiness. It's just an hour and a half of incredibly dense, spooky atmosphere. Um, that is what I want from horror. Like the first horror film I ever saw that I really loved was the American version of The Ring, where there are some shocking moments in it, and those were kind of almost ruined it for me. The Ring is just super fucking atmospheric all the way through. That's what I want.
What was the name of the movie that you recommended?
I will write it in the chat.
Hell yeah, thank you. Um, I would say my favorite is anything where like people have to live around the horror. I think that's really fun. I think I would point towards the Pale and Disco Elysium as an example, um, where it is basically
Yeah,
just kind of a fact of
yeah,
life, and also the pretty much everything in Control. Um, I don't like SCP because I think it's like too like they've built their whole thing around the objects of power and the creatures and stuff. But I really like Control because it's more just like this is an office building that is also
yeah,
a fucked up concrete computer that is constantly rewriting
yeah.
itself, and people are just living inside of it. I think that's really fun.
So I think SCP is really good at this point as
Hmm.
a comedy project.
Yeah.
Like some of the comedic writing on SCP is fucking beautiful, and I love it.
My wife
It's a
was
little creepy.
involved. Uh, my wife was involved in a an SCP where it's the entire text of what's the name of that of the Great Gatsby,
Yep,
but Gatsby's name is replaced every time with just like SCP whatever. Um, and I thought that was very funny. SCP is great. It's just it's not really my personal horror taste.
yeah. But also, I knowing what I know about Disco Elysium's creators and their politics, like the Pale is climate change.
Oh yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
like I feel like we're any day now going to start seeing climate horror be a thing.
Hmm,
Like
definitely.
you can see it starting to happen.
Um, Next, another from Duck. I don't. I guess Duck
Ooh,
didn't sign this. It's Duck. Whatever. Duck won't mind.
yeah.
uh, Bonus, use this code to earn up to $2 is the subject line. Hello.
I see.
Uh, he got silly with these ones. Hello. Soundtracks or playlists in TTRPGs, I love them, but do you feel they are overvalued, undervalued, underused, or depends on the group?
Sorry, run that past me again. My ADHD brain glitched.
No worries. Soundtracks or playlists in TTRPGs, I love them, but do you feel they are overvalued, undervalued, underused, or depends on the group?
I'm gonna piss off some people here. They would be really good if the music people recommend and tend to use wasn't shit. Like, if you want to build atmosphere for a game, what you want to be looking at is things like ambient music and drone and soundtracks, um, and a lot of the more like experimental minimalist stuff where you can put it on and it sets like a background tone. It doesn't draw attention. Um, like as soon as somebody is saying, "Oh yeah, no, blast some fucking power metal for your climactic fight scene,"
Play Magic
that person
Sword.
is a moron. Do not listen to them.
Yeah.
No, Dragon Force going widdly diddly dee is going to make everybody stop paying attention to your game whilst they appreciate how good Dragon Force are. You need something that's going to blend into the background and just get that emotional response.
Yeah. Get some like
Um,
Kenshi music. Like that's kind of in the same
yeah,
vein. Get something that's very very light. Um,
I've had a lot of success playing like drone metal,
mhm.
where it's this very kind of harsh, slow, reverb heavy, barely a melody, no rhythm, no vocals, just atmosphere works really well. Um, I've had some success with Steve Roden. Um, this is the bit where I go into my drone music minimalism rant, unless stopped. You
That's
should
so
stop
fair though.
me.
Um, I get overstimulated with music. In fact, even when I'm in games where people are playing music, I
Yeah,
usually inform them that I'm not going to be listening. Um,
yeah.
so no, I don't. I think it's
Uh,
fine, but it's not for me. Um, doesn't work with my brain, sadly. Um,
uh,
cool. And then we have the big one. We every episode we've been getting stuff from Goblin, which I've really appreciated. Um,
yeah.
so uh, I also really like Goblin's email address, which I will not say on air, but um, if you want to look at that, Emily.
I'm gonna tab out to. Oh, you appear to be sharing your. No, you
Yes, I'm
don't.
I'm
I
streaming
can't.
the. Oh, is it not working?
Due to our technical difficulties, I cannot see it, so I'm just going. Like I'm just looking at the Twitch.
Okay, well I've
I
sent you
have Twitch open.
I've sent you an email address that I find very funny, which is this person's email address, which I will not read out. Uh, it's good.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I can picture the sound of that in my head, um, and then probably like an explosion.
Yeah.
All right. Question one. Do you have any advice for folks who are GMing a more esoteric or indie game as their first real experience with TTRPGs? I know there's an ungodly amount of videos on the topic through the view of D&D 5e, but I frankly do not trust YouTubers with interpersonal skills. Uh,
So first of all, before I go anywhere else, you have made the correct decision. If you start your gaming
it's a lot of
career
X's in that.
with D&D, and particularly D&D 5th edition, that game will beat bad habits into your brain
Mhm.
that you will spend the rest of your career as a GM and a player and a designer if you go into design trying to unlearn. And so if you start out with something that doesn't teach you wrong as a joke, to quote Kung Pao, um, then that whole process of unlearning D&D is sidestepped. So you have made the correct choice to begin with. Beyond that, give me a moment to.
Yeah, I also
Actually, do
sent
you
it.
have thoughts whilst I put my brain together? Because that's an
Yeah,
interesting one.
I think I do. I would I would generally trust what the book is saying. like to
Hmm.
some degree, um, because I do actually think that a lot of really great games have really great advice for running them. Um,
Hmm.
like I think it can be very easy to not be a thorough reader, and I would encourage you to, if this is your first time GMing something, uh, go into the book, take seriously the advice that they give you, and try and learn as much as you can about the book,
Hmm.
without making yourself, crazy.
Because like everything that is in that book has been put there by the book's author for that game specifically.
Mm,
And a lot of the time, the stuff that goes in there isn't just like generically good gaming advice. It's specifically about making that game work as that thing specifically and what makes it unique. Um, yeah, I think the big thing is not to try and make it feel like what you might have in your brain as being like generic RPGs. Particularly like if you're not experienced with the medium and you're maybe going off pop cultural representations, or most of your experience has been with D&D or whatever, you're probably not going to have a game that produces something that looks like what you are familiar with. Um, and that is good and correct in what the game is trying to do. And the mistake that you're at risk of is fucking it up by trying to make it like D&D. Um, do you remember when Critical Role ran Monster Hearts? That was a
yeah.
fucking travesty. Um, I remember Avery Alder making her very diplomatically worded public statement on Twitter after it happened, where, like, you can't say that it was wrong and they fucked it up because they
Right.
have the Critical Role fandom, but yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Don't do that.
I think
Do not be Matt Mercer.
if you're looking for models for this, I think that like from what I've seen of him, like I mean, I guess this is more of a separate issue because you're not coming from D&D, but I'll say like hypothetically,
Yeah.
if there were a person coming from D&D trying to do indie stuff, I think the level of curiosity and care that specifically Brendan Lee Mulligan shows in like
Yeah.
his like Party of One appearances, especially,
Yeah.
is a good place to start. But that was not necessarily the question that was being asked to us. I just
So
felt like that was important to mention.
another thing I will say is for a lot of indie games, a lot of the time you can find actual plays which are run by the creator.
Mm,
I know a lot of my games, you can dig around on YouTube and find me running them or me playing in them. Um, I know a lot of other little indie games, like maybe there's a stream of it somewhere, or like there's a written report of how it goes down. And like specifically a version with the creator involved in it is really worth digging into and looking for because that'll give you what it's meant to look like.
yeah, and I would also say like I think the question here is for like esoteric slash indie, which I feel like is not necessarily that's not necessarily always correlated. Like I mean, fucking like Fellowship is like I say this in the best possible way. Fellowship like is a schlock game. Like you
Yeah.
make schlock with it. Um, like a lot of indie games are very very fun and very very like accessible, and I
Mhm.
would not dive
Yeah.
into that pool afraid basically.
Yeah. Like there's a lot of indie stuff out there where it's very much, I want to make a pretty down the middle of the road trad regular game, but good. An example I'm going to point to is in the chat right now. I think they're still here. If Roz is still posting, Roz produced Valiant Quest, which is like I don't know if it's the pitch Roz would give. The pitch I would give is what if D&D wasn't a shit game designed by idiots and committees that actually produced the experience it tells you it's for? Like, what if it worked and functioned? Valiant Quest, it's very trad, it's very elf dwarf halfling fighter cleric, you know?
Yeah.
But it's good. It works. It's fun. I really recommend that as something that is not esoteric, but also very indie. Like Roz is indie as fuck. She gets indie cred. Um, and conversely, um, I would say some of the advice around things like managing and pursuing emotional bleed that's being published by White Wolf in Vampire the Masquerade gets quite esoteric, and they're a fucking massive company. You know, they're owned by the people that make Crusader Kings.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
There's a lot out there, basically. And explore and see what stuff you like, and you know,
yeah.
cool. Question two. Goblin has six
Okay,
questions for us today, which we might not get through
sweet.
all of. But
Are they going to chain together into a sequence?
I don't. I think some of them are connected. Um,
Okay,
there's the last three are connected. They're all of the same subject.
okay.
Which, um, next question is, why do you think combat is so interesting for the majority of players? Because it kicks ass. I mean, come on.
So I have my cynical answer and I have my um genuine answer. Which one do you want first?
Let's go cynical first.
Okay, the cynical answer is that the D&D memosphere is prone to encouraging extremely bad GMing habits. Um, and the game itself does not support social role playing in any way which couldn't be replaced with an A4 page marked freeform it. Same for exploration mechanics, fucking freeform it. Same for logistics, same for policy, like same for investigation. Like combat is the only thing with mechanics in it. Um, Coupled with the fact that the way D&D is set up, it's basically forces you to do a railroad. Um, it is a non-interactive game where you have little influence over what's actually like the shape of the plot or the shape of the world. Um, Combat's the only time players have any fucking agency.
Right.
You know, combat is the only time, realistically, where you get to make mechanically important decisions where the shit on your sheet matters and affects play, and there are stakes and consequences. Um, and I think in a lot of games that remains the case.
There's an opinion
I
I've
think
expressed in the past, which is that um, so if a character, so let's say you have let's say there's a party of two characters. One is a bard, one is a paladin, and
yeah,
oh sorry, uh,
no, you go.
okay, the bard, um, the bard and the paladin come across an enemy that has 300 HP, and
Yes.
the paladin says, "I want to fight this guy. I want to use my abilities. I want to use my combat abilities. Like this is a
Mhm.
I guess maybe not a paladin because they would have. Imagine this is a game where paladins have low charisma, but let's
Yeah.
say a sorcerer instead. Wait, no, that fuck. A wizard. A
Fighter.
fighter. Yeah, bard and a fighter.
Fighters have nothing but combat abilities.
Yes. Okay. Bard and a fighter. So the
Yeah.
fighter's like, I'm gonna fight this guy. I want to use my action surge. I want to use my fucking.
Yeah.
I want to use all my uh, maneuvers. And the bard is like, I want to talk to this guy. Uh, so in a D&D game, like or a D&D like game, uh
Hmm.
normally it's going to be like a charisma roll per maybe 100 or 150 hit points, while the fighter can only do 21 hit points, and that'll take the course of an hour in real time. Um and like the obvious solution, there are kind of opposite incentives that happen where it's uh the bard wants to use their abilities and make things go quickly. The fighter wants to use
Hmm.
their abilities and make things go like slower. But also in character, it is probably faster to actually kill this person than to talk to them. Uh
Yeah.
so I just think the incentives are fucked, and I
Yeah.
agree with you that it's just like it's a fucking mess.
So I think one of the problems, which I think you kind of started talking towards, neatly sidestepped, and then stepped back and kept on as if you'd said it, and just neatly managed to not, despite it being the thrust of your argument, is for something like investigation or socializing or wilderness survival or anything like that, some classes will have a mechanical ability and the capacity to interact with that, and the majority won't.
Mhm.
Every class can contribute to combat. Um, and now I'm going to post a quote in the chat from Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead,
Good.
and then read it out. It says, "We've more of the love, blood, and rhetoric school. Well, we can do you blood and love without the rhetoric, and we can do you blood and rhetoric without the love, and we can do all three concurrent or consecutive, but we can't give you love and rhetoric without the blood. Blood is compulsory. They're all blood, you see.
Yeah.
Love, blood, and rhetoric being the three pillars of gameplay in D&D. Like, that is your problem."
Yeah. Yeah. What's your non-cynical answer, or was that your non-cynical answer?
So my non-cynical answer, like my cynical answer is because it's the only time when D&D is fun,
Hmm.
because D&D is a shit game. My non-cynical answer is that combat is a situation which is immediately engaging because there are stakes. I think people enjoy a feeling of danger in their game, and combat creates that, and which is easily understood. Like, we understand what the stakes of these things are because, like, popular culture is so obsessed with the fight scene as its way of doing things. Therefore, if you want to have a high adrenaline moment where there are stakes that people care about, where there is excitement, where you can, you know, I guess, kind of hit your climax for the session almost.
Hmm.
Fight scenes are really good for that because we exist in a culture where, like, in our fiction, the fight scene is kind of the default climactic point for our stories. And we all understand that. We all have a lot of media fluency with what a fight scene means, right?
Yeah.
Therefore, it's really easy to go, cool, this is a cool moment. We all know how fight scenes work. We all know why this is cool. Boom, done. Um, you know?
Yeah. No, I definitely
And like,
agree.
I think there are wider issues with the way that um, our culture glorifies and revels in violence in fucking everything. You know?
Yeah.
Why is it okay to show somebody being shot in the head on TV, but not to show somebody getting their willy out? Um,
Um, that was something that not to just be railing on Thirsty Sword Lesbians, a game that I do actually really like. I enjoy playing it. Um, I I've also encountered the fact that like the sword is such a crucial thing in that game has been like
mhm,
kind of tricky in like a game where we're like not really like we're doing like a film noir thing in it. Uh,
yep.
and like it's not real like we're not really fighting people that often. Um, and yeah, I mean like that's a thing fucking not also not to always talk about fucking Sapphic World, but I've put in a lot of thought about like making sure that there can be stakes that are about like
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
whether someone arouses your character too much or
Yes.
whether you're too scared to go through a place. Like I think that sort of stuff is really important.
One of the things I think of as like my, I guess, main area of expertise as a designer is exploration.
Hmm.
Like, combat is a thing that appears in my games as a point of friction and grit to like keep you on your toes, but it's not the point. Point is the process of exploring an environment. Um, and that's where I put um like that is the cool shit. That's the money shot in my games is here is a new place that you have discovered.
I think that sort of
Um
stuff is really cool and very important.
but I don't know. Like I think it's really easy for us to go for cool, what are our stakes? What are our default gameplay model? Violence. You know?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna out myself as a shameless weeaboo here. I play a lot of Genshin Impact, and the thing I like about that game is it's a big open world game where the exploration is fun. Like navigating the world with the climbing and the swimming and the gliding and all of that stuff. Really fun. There are interesting puzzles. There are fun little dungeons to explore. There's treasure all over the place. It's great. The combat, very frustrating. Don't like it, you know?
Mhm.
But it's there because that's what we put in games as gameplay by default, you know?
Yeah.
Um, I don't know.
It's the easiest way. I mean, not necessarily the easiest, but it is like the way that we, like, if you're gonna get a
Let's
thing
go
from a
to,
creature, you're gonna kill it. Uh,
yeah.
yeah.
I, you know what I would love to have
Hmm?
that I don't know how you do it, but I want to make it? Is, like the Mario platformer style of video game
Yeah.
where the skill is just in navigating an environment. Bringing that to the tabletop. Like, I don't know if
Hmm.
it would be like a miniatures game or a tabletop RPG or what, but a game which is just like Mirror's Edge style movement for the sake of movement.
That sounds awesome. That sounds really fun.
No idea how you do it. No fucking clue how you do it. But I want it. I want it to exist.
Yeah. And we're not like, at least I'm not. I'm personally not saying that like violence can't be in games, but more just that like it's cool. It's cool to have more. It's cool to have more different uh modes of interacting with stuff.
Games from the Wildwood, you are clever and I agree with you. Yeah, a lot of nerds have stunted social skills. Um,
Hmm.
like I know when with my discussions on like sex in tabletop games, I I posted just like, come on, this isn't hard. We all know how the process of flirting with somebody goes down. We all know how sex works, right? And it was an eye-opening experience to me to learn that actually, no, a lot of Dungeons and Dragons players,
Oh,
a
are
lot
you?
of Dungeons and Dragons players do not know
Yeah,
how to flirt.
yeah. Okay. So that
Yeah.
I think we're gonna do question 3 and then wrap up because I actually have to
Yeah.
do a
Cool.
Cavegirl playtest in a bit. Um, and I'll
Sounds
save the other
fun.
3 for Six Valentine next week. Me
Yes.
and Six will talk about furries. There's 3 questions about furries here.
Sweet.
The third question is there anything in the TTRPG space that you find annoying to no end that you want an excuse to talk about? Please use this question as that excuse.
Have you heard everything else I have said so far?
uh, I'm just trying to
Um,
think of anything specific that I'm like really peeved about right now.
so I think there's an issue with nerd culture
Hmm.
that annoys me, where there's a wikification of fiction and culture, where things become an accumulation of facts, and we don't engage with um like the themes of the thing. We don't engage with the moral or the political elements. Like I saw a thing recently where somebody was going like, "Oh yeah, the Rogue Trader CRPG that came out." Like I was saying, "Oh, I couldn't keep on playing it because the Imperium is this massive fascist empire that I'm complicit with, and every time I try and do the right thing, it barely helps, and I'm not getting rewarded for trying to be a good person in this game. Why isn't the game rewarding me for being good?
Right.
Uh, and it's like, that's the point. Like, the whole thematic point is that you're in a fascist hellscape, and doing the right thing is going to be hard and costly. That is almost, in fact, the message of really most good 40k fiction.
Right.
Like, most good 40k fiction, the message is the system sucks, and it is going to hurt you to do the right thing, but good people still exist and are trying to make things better. But nerds are so immune to critical thinking about the messages behind things and the meaning behind things. You know? Um, it's like, oh, the fucking chuds who think that the Imperium are meant to be the good guys because
Right.
they say they're the good guys. Um,
Yeah. It all is the same. People want the good thing to be the easy thing. Um,
yeah,
that's something that I would probably like. If I were to rewrite my Kenshi RPG, Third Empire, I would make it harder.
yeah,
Like, because I think I made
yeah,
it too easy to be good in that game. When Kenshi itself is just like,
yeah,
you want to be a good
yeah.
person in this world, prepare to fucking crawl. Um,
Like a thing which I do in a lot of my design is just never include alignment in my games,
mhm.
never include a moral dimension to anything. I'm just going to write a situation and include the options for what you can do and what's the morally right or wrong thing to do in these games is for the players to decide. Like morality is going to be personal and it's going to be a judgment call, and that's a player thing. You
Yep.
know, if as a designer I'm saying this is good, I am taking your agency from you as a player. You know, um, it's one thing I like with Vampire is humanity and morality are different things. You can be a
Right.
very human character and a horrible, horrible, manipulative person. And you can be completely inhumane and still have a strong moral core, um, which I think is really interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
I definitely agree.
I really, really dislike the way that so much nerd culture just wants it to be Funko Pops and primary colors and brand names we recognize and uncomplicated, nothing messy.
Right.
You know, you can be LGBT representation, but you can't have gay sex. And not only can you not have gay sex, you certainly cannot deal with the existence of homophobia.
And I better not see any knives in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. Um, uh, but before we wrap up, do you mind if I go through my pet peeve?
Yeah, hit me.
um, I am realizing an issue that, to be so clear, I am not talking about my specific friends who play Lancer. However, there is a contingency of people playing RPGs right now and
Mhm.
spreading around various tables who have never roleplayed once in their fucking lives and are like coming from like tactics games, like tactic mech games for the
Yep.
most part. Um,
Yep.
and I think that I think those people should play war games and maybe leave the leave the role or maybe try, you know, I feel like I've seen a lot of people at tables who are playing very low effort and very focused on the stats of their character, and I don't mean to blame Lancer for it, but I'm blaming Lancer for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. There are narrative focused tactical skirmish war games that are wonderful. Go
Mhm.
play them.
Yep.
Um, one other pet peeve, if we have time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so the least interesting thing in game design is what dice you roll. Like
Mm,
3d6 versus a d20 versus dice pools does not fucking matter. It's
doesn't
all
matter.
just probabilities. Doesn't matter. And the fetishization of the d20, fucking stupid.
Mhm.
And everybody who thinks that they're fixing game design because we have a bell curve now, fucking stupid. Think about things that actually matter, like your gameplay loop and your incentive structures.
So true.
Um, Everyone is stupid but me.
Good. Um,
Yeah,
yeah, we're gonna wrap up here. I gotta get ready for
yeah.
this playtest. Thank
It's
you
been
so
a
much for being here, Emily. You are a luminary, a fucking genius, and it's been so nice talking to you about all this stuff.
it's been it's been a satisfying rant. I've really enjoyed it. Have me on whenever.
Hell yeah. I'm going to just push people towards my uh, I'm gonna again recommend that folks check out Emily Cavegirl's itch stuff, especially Dungeon Bitches, and also her
Yeah,
blog. And I'm also
I am
going to
also
say,
I am also on drive through if you want stuff in print.
hell yeah. I'm also
Um,
going to good.
mhm.
Oh, sorry. um, I'm also gonna push people towards checking out my Kickstarter pre-launch page for Biotropication, my fucked up human domestication guide inspired two-player zine. Um, if you like games that are messy about romance and maybe consent in the fiction, uh, check that out. Yeah,
This
it's a
looks
weird
like it.
game.
This looks like it will make exactly the right people very angry.
I'm kind of counting
More
on
of
that.
this shit.
Yeah.
Both types of people I've been slagging off will be angry about this.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Yeah.
thank you all for watching. Um, we're gonna raid Moonshot Network, who are playing God Game. Um, go say hi. I think I know it's Riley. I think Martin might be on there. Some cool people, and they're playing like the big version. They have like Rocks 300 helping them with that, so that's really
Oh
cool.
yeah.
Yeah. Go say hi,
Sweet.
and yeah, thank you again for being on, Emily, and good night, everyone.
It's been super fucking good. I will talk to you later.
Talk to you later.
Right.
Remember, if you don't like what you see, you can change it. It's up to you, really. Goodbye, good luck, and have fun!